What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again. This is your debrief, and before we get into it...
Come on! What's he doing? You bellend!
It is the hope that kills you, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got over it. Didn't sleep last night. I was looking at getting hopefully one of the easier teams, no disrespect, in the semi-final, and a trip to Wembley. And again, for a moment of stupidity from Onana with that penalty. I mean, take a leaf out of Michael Keane's book, who's a centre-half, and just smack it. Do you know if he smacks it and it comes back off the post, or the keeper saves it, or it goes over? Fair enough. He's put his laces through it and had a go. He p-rolls it to the keeper. He didn't even put it in the corner. You know, that will live with me for a long, long time. The hope that I have, and everything that we've been built up to for the last 6-7 weeks with the way we've been performing, with that penalty last night, seemed to drain out me. It just, I'm thinking all that hard work to get to the, a quarter final, possibly a semi if he scores, the way we've been playing. And what was he thinking? Did he just, I think he's very cocksure of himself, mate. And I said to you before, after the game finished, he just stood on the halfway line. He hadn't moved. I thought he'd died standing up because he hadn't moved for about 10 minutes. And he always tries to be the centre of attraction, in my opinion. He loves it. He milks it. He wanted the cameras to pan in on him. And I'm going in on him because he's proper pissed me off with that penalty last night. Proper pissed me off. I don't think James Tarkowski took one. You give James Tarkowski that penalty, he puts it in.
He did.
Did he?
Smashed it, yeah, smashed it.
Who else could have took one, though, before him? Name some players, because I'm telling you now.
Pickford, Nathan Patterson.
Patterson could have took one. Patterson scores. Pickford scores. We've seen Pickford take pens before, Michael, in a penalty shootout we've had. Yeah. I mean, I think he could have done better on some of the pens. I know he saved one, but I thought he was poor as well on the penalties last night, Pickford, considering he's England's number one. It was just a shit show. We're shit at penalties. It's very rare we win a penalty shootout. And as soon as it went to that, I said to Frankie, I'm not hopeful here.
The last 4 times we've had a Carabao Cup game to go to a penalty shootout, we've lost. I think the stat was I read earlier. Just a little shout out to Matt Jones, Bino EFC Jones on Twitter, who I always ask if I can, if they've recorded something or they've got a clip on Twitter or whatever. I always ask if I can use it, and Matt allowed me to today. So thank you, Matt. Really appreciate that. But yeah, John, it's difficult because I like Onana, and literally a few weeks ago we were singing his praises. And as a footballer, he's greatly improved. We've noticed how much we've missed him in games, but you are right. There is an element of Onana where it is about himself. It is about that centre of attention. It is about
very egotistical, isn't he?
Yeah, and we've had similar players to that in the past. Funny enough, we've had a Belgian player, in Romelu Lukaku, who every time he went away with Belgium would probably put Everton down a little bit. And I wonder if Onana may go down that route. But he's managed to completely, where this fan base was all together and supported each other, and we'd been on this fantastic run, he's almost managed to divide the fan base again through one kick of a football, because there's people like yourself, and actually I'd go even further, there's people that have just washed their hands of him. On Twitter, some of the stick I was reading about him was, I'm done with him. He's all about being a showman. He's all about himself. He doesn't care about Everton. He proved it last night. He definitely wanted to be number 5 because he wanted the deciding penalty. And I can't disagree with any of that. I think the problem is for me, and I always try and look rationally, like and outside the box, is this is still a very young person. Like, he's a very young person. And let's be honest, we've all made a mistake. So that's why I'm not sitting there nailing him for it. I'm upset, and I am upset. But I'm kind of confident that there's people in that dressing room, like your James Tarkowski's, like your Michael Keane's, like your Ashley Young's, like your Ladrissa Garnegay, albeit he missed his penalty, but at least he tried, that will have a word with him, because that's what he needs. He needs someone to say to him, that was massive for the fans. That was massive. And if Fulham pull out Middlesbrough tonight, we're all going to be sitting there really deflated going into that Tottenham game. If they pull Liverpool, then you're probably like, But if we were going to play Liverpool in the final, we'd all be buzzing. We'd all be happy. We'd all be excited. We'd all be up for it. So I'm just worried that because we didn't win that game, I'm worried that we're going to go into Spurs and we're not going to be that Everton that have been brilliant over the last few weeks. That's what I'm worried about.
See, I was thinking that, and we spoke last night after the game, and you were quite harsh, in my opinion, that you thought it was a poor performance. Listen, Just to say, and I've watched some of the game back. I haven't watched it all, but I've watched some back. I thought we were awful, and I still think we were awful. I think what's happened now, listen, we've watched worse performances than that. Me and you, we have, and a lot of Everton fans have watched worse performances than that. I think, and this isn't a pop at you at all, because I've said in the past with games that I thought we were poor, and you've said I thought we were okay. I think what a lot of Everton fans have done is we've built this confidence up over the run we've been on, and we've watched some really, really good performances, and I think last night, because we've raised the bar over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks with the performances we've been putting in and the run we've been on, we didn't reach that bar last night. We didn't. Totally agree with you. We didn't. But I don't think we were as poor as you, in your opinion, and my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. I don't think we were as poor as what some people may think. I mean, some of the crosses that went into the box last night, all it needed was someone on the edge of the box, and we're going to get onto him in a minute, a certain Calvert-Lewin. But I thought we put some great crosses in, and I think it was it Danjuma who had a volley about 8 yards out and just put it past the post as well, the Gladys Street end. He should be scoring that. So we had the chances last night, and I don't think it was, listen, it was nowhere near what we've been doing, the performance. It wasn't. But I don't think it was a million miles from what we've been doing. I just think, I think the bar's being raised now with Everton fans and the players, which is great because it means we're doing well. And I just don't think we reached the heights last night. The players looked tired to me last night as well. I think that could have had a lot to do with it.
You see, the thing for me, and the reason why I was quite critical of the performance was, I can't remember Leno making a save. I can't remember him making a save. And when I go down the other end, Pickford definitely made a save. At least he made one. There was also a bit of a scramble when I think the ball come in from a corner and we just couldn't clear it on about the 89th minute. We just couldn't get the ball out. We were hitting them on the counter more towards the end, but we did very little with it. And I actually thought that the most dangerous player on that pitch last night for Everton was Danjuma, and he played 18 minutes. I thought I thought he offered more than Harrison, and I thought he offered more than McNeil. And again, look, I'm not getting into this debate about Harrison and McNeil and whether Danjuma, Villarreal are so annoyed that he's not playing that they're on about recalling him because they've got an injury crisis. So for me, and obviously I'm not going to push too much on the match preview tonight because we'll do that tomorrow. But for me, Danjuma absolutely walks into this team on Saturday because
I agree.
I absolutely thought we looked more dangerous. And Tete, who was playing right back, and I was in the family enclosure. I watched Tete. Essentially, he was terrified of Danjuma. Every time he was standing off him, he was worried about him. He never did that with Dwight McNeil because he knew he had the pace to cope with McNeil. Danjuma, when he's running at full tilt, he's rapid. So
seen something that he's been staying behind after training Danjuma and working with the coach to push for more game time, to get himself more involved and probably fitter and what have you, because we have heard he's not the best trainer. So I think he's probably realised now to get a game, he's probably going to have to work hard, and apparently that's what he's been doing. For me, you mentioned there, Danjuma comes in, Betto comes in for me. You know, going back to what you said before about, you know, we hit them on the break, and we had nothing in the final third, Michael. It took Betto coming on to get the equaliser. Now, I know Calvert-Lewin looks isolated. I know that. But someone please fucking show him how to win a header, because he either jumps too early, or he jumps with his arse sticking out and gives a foul away, or doesn't jump at all. He doesn't jump at all. I'd love to know what his average is over the seasons since he's been at Everton, of how many goals he's scored, because it's not a lot. And I will still stick to what I said the other night. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He's not. He's not. He's not. I don't think he's good enough. There, I've said it. He's not arsed. He doesn't look arsed to me. And we were singing his praises the other week when he come back from injury. We were singing Dyche's praises about he's managed him well and he's brought him back and he's gradually built his fitness up. Calvert-Lewin's fully fit now, and he's putting performances in like that. He looked better when he just come back from injury. For me, he was probably the worst player for us last night. Calvert-Lewin.
I didn't think he had a good game at all. I think he won one aerial duel last night. We're playing the ball up to, I can't remember who their centre half is, but he's 6'4", and Calvert-Lewin just couldn't deal with him. He couldn't bully him. He couldn't do anything.
It's not just last night, though, Michael. It's when he's played against smaller centre halves, he doesn't bully them.
No, it's not. But my point is, last night we needed the ball to stick with him, and it didn't. And there was actually one moment where I think the ball bounces off his chest and goes back to Reed, the Fulham midfielder, who, by the way, had a fantastic game. That's two great games he's had against Everton this season. The Reed in the middle of the park. I think he was their captain up until Tom Kearney come on. He just, I don't know what it is with Lewin, but we have mentioned this before, John. He's a confidence player, and at the minute he's confident because he hasn't scored in 6 or 7 games now. His confidence is shot, so he's gone from being, just scoring at Villa and scoring, I think it was 4 goals in 5 games, to not scoring in 6 or 7. His confidence has gone from up here to down here, and there's no middle ground.
In between.
There's no middle ground, and you either get a fantastic Lewin who works hard and wins headers and gets himself in the right position, or you get Lewin who
puts performances in like he has. Yeah. We've spoke about this in the past with Lewin. Yeah. He goes on these runs where he'll score in 3, 4, 5 games nearly every game, and then you won't see a goal for 6, 7, 8 games. That's not an out-and-out striker if you're having stats like that. As you said there, he's big. He should be bullying defenders. Yeah, I know it's hard when someone's taller than you, but he's not playing against defenders 6'4" every week, built like, Iron Man. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what it is with him. He needs a goal, but for me, Betto goes straight in. We look better when Betto come on, and Danjuma was on as well.
Did you think? And the reason I ask this is Danjuma. One of the things he's got is tenacious. He'll put a foot in and he works hard, but his hold-up play, I'd actually argue, is worse than Lewin's. His hold-up play is terrible.
He's not a centre forward though.
Better.
You said Danjuma.
Oh, I meant Betto.
Yeah.
His hold-up play isn't very good, and throwing him in against Spurs, I'm not against it. I'm not saying I'm against it at all. And I've been toying with this pretty much all day, because me and Matt, who has mentioned earlier, make sure you go and follow him on Twitter. I had a little conversation with him, and he's like you, John. He's dropped Calvert-Lewin and put in Betto. And I'm really 50-50 about it, because it's almost the devil, if you get what I mean.
See, the thing is, with Betto and Calvert-Lewin, right? Betto's raw. He's young. He's clumsy. But hopefully that will come with time, that he's not as bad as that. But what you can guarantee with Betto is he'll win more headers. He'll run the channels. He'll score one-on-ones, and he'll take players on. Can you see Calvert-Lewin doing that all the time? No, I can't. And listen, I'm not sitting here saying Calvert-Lewin should never play for us again and Betto should come in and be the number one striker. I'm not. But you have to play players in form. And listen, I'm not saying Betto's in the form of his life, but what I am saying is he's making a difference when he comes on. Whereas he done more for me last night in the time he was on than what Calvert-Lewin done for the time he was on. So we need to go with players. Maybe Calvert-Lewin's tired, Michael, I don't know, because he was out for a long time, then he's come in and he's played consecutive games, probably the most consecutive games he's played for a couple of seasons. So just take him out the firing line, take him out.
Yeah, my worry is because I don't agree with what you've just said about winning more headers and running the channel. I think Calvert-Lewin against a team that's not got 6'4" centre halves, I think Calvert-Lewin wins more headers and runs the channel better, and he's less clumsy. But that's just an opinion. It's just a football opinion. I think the problem is I don't know the answer, because I'd go as far as saying neither of them are brilliant. Betto was a 10 goal in 30 games in Syria, and Calvert-Lewin hasn't had a full season for 2.5 seasons, 2 seasons at least. So I sit there and I just don't know. I don't know what way to play this. I don't know. I'm more than if he comes out and says Calvert-Lewin starts on Saturday, I'll be fine with it. If he says that Betto starts on Saturday, I'll be fine with it. My problem is it's what's behind. It's actually relying on Doucouré, because when Doucouré is
massive miss last night,
Calvert-Lewin looks a different player without Doucouré. And that worries me. I didn't realise, and equally, I haven't given Doucouré credit for this. I never have. But I now accept the importance of Doucouré in that Everton team. We
missed him loads last night.
We miss him, and we just can't cope moving the ball through the lines, because he carries it. He's tenacious. He actually runs the lines, and you sit there. And last night, Calvert-Lewin, I've got to be honest, I thought all game he was poor, and I thought all game he kind of needs a partner, and nobody partnered with him. I really struggled last night with Onana, Garner, Harrison, Calvert-Lewin, Harrison. I struggled with all of them. The standout for me was James Garner. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, as always, everywhere. Passes, tackles, aggression. And I come out of that game just thinking that the front five that I've just mentioned, or front four, whatever you want to say, they just bottled it. And it took Betto coming on, being a pain in the backside, Danjuma causing problems to get a goal against Fulham at home. It's like they've got our number. I couldn't believe it, John. Because didn't we lose 3-1 to them last season as well?
In the cup?
No, at home, in the league.
Well, they beat us this season as well, haven't they, though?
That's what I mean. So we haven't beaten Fulham.
Yeah.
Good in ages.
I think we spoke the other night, Michael, that you really praised Fulham and said they've got some good players and they could afford to make changes and still be a strong team. And listen, Fulham are no mugs. I was just disappointed last night. I thought you mentioned a player there, James Garner. I thought Branthwaite was outstanding. Wherever that kid plays, wherever he's asked to play, he's brilliant. He just settles in as if he's played there his whole career. For me, I thought Branthwaite for me was the standout player. But again, James Garner had a brilliant game. You mentioned Doucouré. That it looks like Calvert-Lewin misses him. Doucouré's only been missing the last, how many games? 2, is it?
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin's been poor for more than 2 games when Doucouré's been there with him. I just think Calvert-Lewin needs taking out the firing line. You know, he could be tired, as I said before. Give Betto a chance. Play both of them. Obviously not against Tottenham. You don't play two strikers at Tottenham, but Calvert-Lewin does look isolated. So maybe I am being a bit harsh, but I still expect, and I'll say I still expect him to give us more. I still expect him to win more in the air. He gives so many fouls away, Calvert-Lewin, Michael. It's unbelievable.
I was just looking at the. I'm gonna put it up on the. I don't know if you can see that. It's coming up with all these frigging adverts, but here, I don't know if you can see it, but we haven't beaten Fulham in the last 5 games.
Like a voodoo over us, isn't
it? It's mad. It's mad, and we go into this Spurs game now, going from absolutely buzzing, convinced we're going to be in a semi-final, and I'm not going to lie to you, John, and I'm hoping you can pick me up a little bit, but I am absolutely dreading this game against Spurs because I think they're back. Like, I think Spurs are back.
I'm not as worried as that. I don't need a pick-me-up for the Spurs game, for the simple fact of the matter is our league form's been really good, and it's devastating the way we went out the cup last night. But what I take confidence with going into the Spurs game is our away form in the league. You know, I think we're going there capable. I'll take a point now. I'll be happy to go there with a point. As you say, Tottenham have turned a bit of a corner again. They are getting a bit of form back. But I'm confident in the league against the likes of Spurs, Michael, most teams, to be fair. And our away form gives me that confidence because I think we've turned that round massively.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what Everton are going to turn up after last night. We just don't know what Everton are going to turn up.
It hit me last night because it to me, and I know we disagreed on this, I think, but it felt like a bottle job last night. It felt like a David Moyes, Wigan, quarter-final FA Cup. It felt like a bottle job, and it just felt like we didn't turn up. I didn't think we were very good. And I know you said we had chances and things, but, you know, when I sit there and I think, I can't remember Leno making a save. And I remember the first game of the season where we absolutely peppered him and there was chances off the line, and we wasn't like that last night. Like, it was almost like Marco Silva had read Everton and just time wasting from the kickoff. He knew exactly how to wind us up last night, and we just couldn't cope with it, in my opinion.
See, I think another problem we've got now, Dyche is having to play square pegs and round holes, because we said this. We only need 1 or 2 injuries or a couple of suspensions, and he's had to shuffle the pack and he's had to change the formation, and you know, he's having to play players out of position. And we said this, you know, we were on this great run. But let's just not get too ahead of ourselves. I know I had my passport out the other night, obviously tongue in cheek, but, you know, we were 1 or 2 injuries away from. I'm not going to say it was a poor performance last night, because I've already said I didn't think it was that bad, but a lesser performance than what we were putting in before we started getting a couple of injuries and a couple of suspensions. So we need these players back as soon as possible to start the run going again. I'm gutted we're not going to the semi-final of a cup. I'm absolutely gutted over it. But let's not get too down on ourselves, because we've been on a great run and hopefully we'll bounce back on Saturday.
Yeah. One last thing I want to mention, and it was on the atmosphere.
Poor.
Why was that? Because I thought Goodison would be bouncing, and there's been a few people making comments about the music before the game, because it was quite
a montage that they put on the screen.
Well, it was quite aggressive, you know, like drum and bass music, and they had the lights going round on the advertising boards. Now, for me, I quite like that, but there is a lot of fans. I'd actually say that there's more the other way than me.
Yeah.
that didn't like that just wanted the normal Z cars, play the game. Do you think it affected the players?
Yeah, I do, because the run of form we've been on, especially since the points deduction, the fans have been really up for it, and you can see it rubbed off on the players. The crowd was flat last night, so obviously that's relayed onto the players as well. I don't know why, because there's this big thing that goes round about there's no place like Goodison under the lights, and I think that come back to bite us on the arse last night, because I thought it was one of the quieter atmospheres for quite a while at Goodison. Can't explain it. Was it windy? Was it cold? Night games just before Christmas, and it could be anything. You know what I mean? Maybe the fans have gone into this game a bit like myself and you. We both predicted 2-0 with an air of confidence around us. So we thought, well, no, we'll be all right. We'll get through it. And obviously, it did rub off on the players. And listen, I'm not going to say that's why we didn't get through to the semi-final, because we all know why we didn't get through to the semi-final, because of one act of stupidity, when if he takes the penalty properly, we're in the semi-final of a cup. So I don't know what it was, but I think it's probably a few factors, isn't it? I think it was more the air of confidence going in there, thinking, well, we're on this great run and this and that, and Fulham should be easy at home, one-off game in the cup. Just didn't work out like that, did it?
No. Did you see the Fulham goal back last night? Have you seen it back?
No.
The defending is awful. Awful.
You see, this is the problem we've got, because there's been confidence because we've had a settled back four the last couple of weeks. Michalenko's been playing out of his skin. We've had to bring Michael Keane in, who hasn't been playing for a couple of games. We've had to move Branthwaite on the right. We don't know who's going to be playing from one week to the next, whether it be Young or whether it be Patterson, or is Coleman going to be back soon. So the defence has become a bit unsettled over the last couple of games, and I think it showed last night. I haven't seen the goal back, but thinking what I watched last night,
really,
it was poor. And this is the problem you have with Everton's defence, Michael. There's no in between. We spoke about being an in between before. We're either solid, but and we're building the foundation on that, or you get mistakes like last night. It shouldn't happen. They're professional footballers, but I think the shuffling of the back line over the last 2 games hasn't helped that.
Yeah, I think that covers it, John. To be honest, I don't think there was anything. I mean, the referee didn't have a good game, but we all knew he wouldn't. Tete,
none of them do.
No, none of them do. So I think one of the players should have been. I think he got a yellow card, and then he should have probably been sent off for time wasting. They time wasted all game, and he didn't give him a card.
Yeah.
So it was a joke, really. So no, we move on. We've got Spurs this weekend. We keep smiling and up the toffees. Is that it? You're not saying nothing else? No, that is just Suave, everyone. See you later.
Cheers, folks. We will be back tomorrow with the match preview.
Brilliant. That's it.
Looking forward to it. I'm tired. Got to bed at 11:30 last night. It was up 4:15.
2 o'clock. I got home last night in the morning.
Yeah, but you sit on your ass. So I know I sit down, but yours is just, you can do what you want.
Brilliant.
Easy job.
Brilliant. Right. Goodbye, everyone.
Anyone can sell Avon. Right. See you.